I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Mayor Rowe. Present. Mayor Pro Tem Miller.
Present.
Councilman Racy.
Here.
Councilman Porter.
Here.
Councilman Webster. He's asked to be excused.
Yes.
Councilman Dowd.
Present.
You do have a quorum with 5 members.
Could I please have a motion to excuse Councilman Webster?
I move to excuse Councilman Webster for the council meeting of November 5th, 2018.
I'll support it.
It's been moved and supported. All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries. Thank you.
The first item is item 1, to approve the agenda.
Wish of council?
Move to approve.
Support.
It's been moved by Mayor Pro Tem Miller, supported by Councilman Porter. Any additions or questions? All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries.
Item 2 are city council minutes. Item 2A are the regular meeting minutes of October 16th.
Move approval. Support.
It's been moved by Councilman Racy, supported by Councilman Porter. Any additions? All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries.
The next item is item 3, bid awards. Item 3A is to approve the bid award for the painting of the animal shelter to be paid from the animal shelter budget, and this approval is subject to a written contract acceptable to both the city and the vendor.
Motion to approve. Support.
It's been moved by Councilman Porter, supported by Councilman Racy. Are there any questions?
And this was for the low bidder of Do All Cleaning, Sterling Heights, Michigan, for $6,900.
All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries. Next item.
Item 3B, this is to approve the bid award for the repair of the brick walls at the intersections of Chamberlain and Glover and Biddle and Park to be paid from the general fund. This approval is subject to a written contract that is acceptable to both the city and the vendor.
Move to approve.
Second.
It's been moved by Mayor Pro Tem Miller, supported by Councilman Racy. Are there any questions?
And this was for the low bid of ProCare Restoration, Ypsilanti, Michigan, $21,403.
And some of these funds will try to be reimbursed by insurance claims to the city. You're welcome. Next item.
We need to vote
Oh,
on
I'm sorry.
that.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries.
The next item is item 3C. This is to approve the bid award for electrical alterations at 4001 South Wayne Road. This to be paid from the general fund and reimbursed by the sale of the building, with approval subject to a written contract that is acceptable to both the city and the vendor.
Wish of council.
Motion to approve. Support.
It's been moved by Councilman Porter, supported by Councilman Racy. Are there any questions?
Mayor Rowe,
Yes.
is there someone here tonight that can give a little bit of an explanation of this spending on this building at this time?
Sure. Mr. Brighton?
I think it would be prudent for the residents to know and understand.
Madam Mayor, members of the council, this bid is for the separation of electrical services that were tied between the old building and engineering building and our DPW yard. There were several items of electrical work that needed to be taken care of, so we went out for a bid. And the bid that we received is the one that we're recommending to you tonight.
Any other questions? All right. All in favor?
In the back.
Oh, I'm sorry, I didn't see you, Mr. Clearman. If you could come up to the podium, please.
Hi, I understand the need for this, but I'm concerned we only have one bidder. So at this point, the lowest bidder is the only bidder.
Can you answer that, please?
Madam Mayor, there is only one bid on this project. However, we did have some quotes and we did some estimating beforehand. We're familiar with the electricians in the area, and the challenge of this having a mix of electrical work and asphalt work and trenching work, and a lot of electricians aren't interested in doing that work right now. They're very busy with other projects. If we rebid this project out, it's most likely that we'll get one bidder again, the same bidder. Because we know that this is similar to, it's a little bit higher than our estimate, but very similar to our estimate. So we're still recommending this even with only one bidder.
Okay. All right, the money is coming from the general fund, and then will be reimbursed by the sale of the building, correct?
That's correct, yes, ma'am.
All right. Any other questions? All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries. Thank you. Next item.
Next item is item 4, business licenses and permits. Item 4A is to approve the 2018-19 materials recovery license at Broom Auto Parts at 4322 Walker.
Move to approve.
Support.
Been moved by Mayor Pro Tem Miller and supported by Councilman Racy. Are there any questions? All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries.
Item 4B is to approve the 2018-19 materials recovery license at Annapolis Auto Parts, 36597 Annapolis.
Move approval. Support.
It's been moved by Councilman Racy, supported by Councilman Porter. Are there any discussion, questions? All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries.
Item 5 are appointments of boards, commissions, and committees. Item 5A is to approve the resignation of Christy Smith from the Parks and Trails Committee.
Move approval. Support.
It's been moved by Councilman Racy, supported by Councilman Porter. If we could also add a letter of thanks, and then if we could post that we need to fill that vacancy, it'd be appreciated. All in favor of accepting the resignation?
Aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries.
Next item is item 6, communications and reports. The first item is item 6A, the investment report.
Wish of council?
Receive and file.
Are there any questions for Ms. Sample?
Is it possible for you to give us a little presentation regarding this matter? Would be greatly appreciated.
Good evening, Mayor and Council.
Good evening.
This is just a communication report to let you know how we're doing as far as how much interest we're earning. So for the first quarter of fiscal year 19, we've received $7,543, which is really great considering fiscal year 17, we only received $10,841 for the whole year. So interest rates are up.
That's good. Okay. Thank you.
Yep.
Next item is item 6B. This is a flyer from the First Congregational Church regarding their 72nd annual church fair, which is Thursday and Friday, 2018.
It's from 9 a.m. to 8 p.m., and it's at the Town Center. Lunch is from 11 till 1 o'clock, à la carte, and dinner from 5 to 7. Adults are $10, children are $4. And for those of us that have been around here for a while, it's something you don't want to miss. There's always something nice and Christmassy that you can purchase, handmade items, and the food is always very delicious.
Thank you. Next item is item 6C. This is an update of the 2018 Friends Helping Friends project.
Mr. Demetrio?
Thank you. I want to thank the council and the mayor and the council members for their support on this project that we have. And it goes back to 1998 as far as the first project that was done. And it was my brother-in-law Ed McMurray and John Zeck who had put the original one together. So we've been successful since that point as far as to be able to paint a house for a resident of the city of Wayne who is in need as far as that kind of support. I wanted to, first of all, introduce our committee that we have. And when I call their name off, if they would stand up, I'd appreciate it. Ed McMurray, Ed Queen, Juan Bradford, he's not here tonight, Nancy Noel, Matt Noel, Steve Davidson, he's not here tonight either, Phil Wagner, Susan Rowe, of course, who's been part of our committee in that, and who's heading up for the city. Lori Gowan has done an outstanding job as far as in assisting our committee coordination with the city departments. And I can't leave out Councilman John Racy, who has done so much as far as to help us and as the council liaison to our committee. With that introductions, I'd just like to say that we have, I gotta put on my glasses, $4,367.77. We try very hard to keep within our budget each year, and I will be sending out thank yous and requests for support as far as for the upcoming year. One thing, we've had, oh, I don't see the time going. I guess I
They're
got,
on the agenda, so.
I got a couple
Okay,
left.
all right, thank you.
We had over 65 volunteers this year. And it did help. Over to the right over here is, it shows before and after pictures. And it was a house on Winifred. Unfortunately, the owner couldn't be here tonight. He's a senior citizen and he works afternoons. And he does support his handicapped daughter and his grandson. And so he really was deserving as far as for the, to receive the help. I got a long list. One thing that we are fortunate is that we have so many good businesses in and around Wayne as far as that help on this program, that help us keep the costs down in that. And just so that the citizens all know, I think they probably do, but this program runs on volunteer donations. It's all donation and all volunteer work. There's no funds, taxpayer funds from the city that are used on this program. With that, I'm going to go over just and I hope I don't miss too many people here. But we have Consumers Energy has been a long time supporter. The Wayne Dairy Queen does the dilly bars and that, and Jen and Mike Petro always support us each year on it. Northside Hardware, Sam up there at Northside has done a fantastic job as far as donating products and that and supporting us on this program. CrossPoint was a new contributor this year. They had 3 different groups sweating it out during the summer preparing the house because the temperatures were up in the 90s when we were power washing the house and helping to clean up so that on paint day we could just paint the house. Of course, we've had Matt Miller always supporting us. Susan and Ed Rowe always support us. Chum's Donuts comes through with donations and that. We have Law Auto Sales. We have the Wayne Rotary Foundation. There's Rick de Belfure. He does replacements and repairs as far as on the home for us. He's a resident in Wayne. We have Wayne Industries. Donna McEachran always helps. We have American Jetway Industries. Wayne Fire Department did a great job for us this year, checking out the fire detectors and that and updating it and getting, I think, the COs and that detection. Boise Cascade in town supports us with funds. We have the Wayne 100 Club. Hype Center provides us facilities as far as the day of the event, and Let's see, Wayne Little Caesars helps with some pizza for lunch and that. We have the Wayne Beautification Committee that comes out and supports us. That's Judy Ann and Mary Ann are there. We have Bud Hilliard and the First Congregational Men's Club help us on the program. The Wayne Civitans also help. Jim Budziak from FPJ Investments helps us greatly as far as on this program, and you know the check that he provided us earlier with this year. Peter McInerney, who really started the program and the development, still supports the program, even though he's retired from the city. With Jack Demmer, and I got to get this one right, otherwise she'll kill me. Judy Arthur Grinnell supports us on the program with funds. Napolitani Construction does a great job as far as for coming out and helping make repair on the homes. We have, let's see, Green Machine Sports. They provided the shirts that you see here that we have right on now, and they give it to us at a great discount so that we can afford them. And finally, but absolutely not least, we have the Wayne Memorial High Junior ROTC. And Sergeant First Class Stanley Lewis brings his group out, and they do an outstanding job as far as to help us paint the house the day of the paint day that we have. And one thing I do want to mention, oh, how could I? Beauty? Vern. Where is he?
In the back corner.
Hey, Vern helps us out too as far as with funding and support. And I probably have missed someone. I'm sure I have, a couple people. But anyways, let's see. I do have a presentation that goes over from 1998 till the present time for the program, a slide presentation. Well, it's a PowerPoint thing. So if the council would ever want to see it, the history of it and go through it, I can show you that if you have any interest at all. It normally takes about 15 or 20 minutes, but I use it as far as to go out to talk to groups to show them just what we are doing and how their support helps the city and helps the neighborhoods. Are there any questions from the council?
Any questions? No. I have to say thank you, Al. As the years have gone by and you go by one of the houses like a year or two later, you can see how what we do at one house just sort of expands down the block, and other homes that
Absolutely.
are in a little bit need of some tender loving care, the people find a way to fix up their homes as well. So it really does improve the neighborhoods. It really is a neighborhood program, and it's very well thought of in the community, and I'm happy that Ed and I have been able to support it since it started.
Absolutely, Mayor. And the one thing that we have found with other communities coming and asking us how we run the program and that this is sort of a unique program in the city of Wayne, and it really has benefited the neighborhoods because you just notice when a house gets fully painted and fixed up and that, and people on that block really appreciate it that live in that neighborhood. Thank you very much for your
Thank you.
support. And, well, got another year coming up.
Yes.
Next item is item 6D, report and update from the Labor Attorney's Office regarding the workplace assessment. And Gary Sashatel is here for that.
Good evening, Mayor and Council.
Good evening. Welcome.
Thank you. I understand I'm here at the request of Council to give you a little update on where we're at in terms of the workplace assessment. So let me start at the beginning. We have held training for department heads on sexual harassment. That was held back in September. I have been working with the city manager to overhaul the employee handbook for the recommendations of the assessment. It was a complete rewrite. Actually, it was not even a rewrite. It was a starting from scratch project. The last time the handbook had been looked at was in 1994. And there were several policies in there that were outdated and not consistent with current law, that had to be pretty much starting from scratch in terms of writing them. There were also several recommendations that were made in the workplace assessment for policies that were not in your original handbook, and I have undertaken to write those policies. A draft of the handbook was provided to the city manager last week. She's been reviewing it. We have a meeting scheduled for later this week to go over some issues that have come up, some clarification that's going to be needed before we can finalize the handbook. The charter, I've also been looking at the charter and the personnel procedures that were developed in accordance with the charter. We're trying to make sure the handbook and the charter are reconciled, that they're not in conflict. So that's been sort of delaying the process. As a result of that, I do have some recommendations that I'll be passing along to the city manager about additional policies and things that might be needed in terms of revising the charter to bring them more in line with current labor law. Because again, that charter was written, actually, it was written, I think, in 1960 originally. And there are some provisions in that charter that are not consistent, again, with the state of the law today. So I will be sharing those with the city manager. And I'm happy to come back at some point in the future to have a discussion with council about those. In addition to the policy rewrite, we have been looking at some other things in terms of whether the city has been in compliance with labor laws. I had the city manager review all the workplace notices to make sure that all appropriate workplace notices were hung up in areas where employees frequent. We've done that. We've updated the postings to make sure that we're consistent with all applicable laws. We've talked about some other reviews that might need to happen in terms of IT security, personnel file security, the maintenance of personnel files. These are all ongoing discussions I'm having with her as it relates both to the policy rewrites as well as issues that are coming up on a daily and weekly basis. And I think the biggest thing, probably the biggest update for you is that the city manager and I have been consulting again almost daily on various personnel issues as they come up per the recommendation of the workplace assessment. So as far as my involvement goes, most significant employment decisions are coming through my office and are based on my recommendations. So unless the council has any questions, that's where we are in terms of the workplace assessment. I envision once the city manager and I have had a chance to review the policies and finalize them per the charter, we're going to have to also revise the personnel procedures. There's a notice period to employees before they can be adopted by council, but at some point they will be coming to you for a vote.
Are there any questions? We will take a question, but we will not give an answer until the next council meeting.
Mayor, I have a few questions.
Okay.
I have a couple of questions. Thank you for being here this evening. One of them is, now this is these new policies that are being redefined and updated, this is going to cover all the employees, all the administration that's within the municipality. Is that my understanding?
It will cover.
Everyone will be required to sign a waiver of understanding of these new policies.
Yes, so the handbook will apply to all employees of the city of Wayne. Where the policies are inconsistent with, for example, a collective bargaining agreement, the collective bargaining agreement will trump. But the policies themselves will apply to the extent that they're not inconsistent with the CBA. And all employees will be required to sign an acknowledgement. And one of the conversations the city manager and I are having is about training on the policies once they've been adopted by the board, by the council.
And that includes the city manager and other department leads as well. Is that my understanding?
Yes, the policies will apply to every employee.
I just want to
including the city
confirm that.
manager.
Also, I'd like to ask you, in review of the report's recommendations, and I think there was like 30 of them, how many of them have you been aligned with in proceeding with, down the road here?
I don't quite understand your question.
My question is, you've just scratched the surface
Right.
of being able to find some closure with this report. So we've started with the policies and the charter. What other steps will be taken here down the road into completing full closure of the report and resolve?
Well, I've undertaken those requirements of the workplace assessment that were assigned to me.
Yes.
So, if there's any other areas that my assistance is needed in, I'm happy to help you, help the city with. The city manager and I have been discussing other recommendations. For example, conflict resolution was one of the recommendations from the workplace assessment. We've talked about ways in which the city could meet that recommendation. For example, we've talked about bringing in an outside consultant that could work with the employees on conflict resolution strategies. We've had some discussions about the need perhaps for somebody trained in human resources functions and whether that would be an appropriate way to address some of the recommendations of the workplace assessment. But as far as my office is concerned, our main focus at this point was the policy rewrite. And because it was such a large task, we've just been able to complete it.
Okay, thank you.
Thank you. Okay. Yes. Mr. Osborne, your question?
My question in regards to what she has to say, have the employees, their bargaining units, have they been a part of your process we have many unions representing our employees. Have they been tasked, their union representatives or their department heads for the contract bargaining CBAs? Have they been a part, and will you use them to discuss? Because I'm sure they are the people that have grievances, and delivering them through you, you can rectify and find where the situations are. So I hope that you consult with the union representatives, and that's my question. Are they being consulted?
The city manager will have made note of that and have an answer at the next council meeting, since that'll be a new council here. Okay. Any other questions for Gary? Okay, thank you very much, Gary. Appreciate all your hard work on this.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Next section is item 7, general items for consideration. Item 7A is to approve calling a public hearing for Tuesday, November 20th, 2018 at 8 o'clock for the proposed addition of an eligible activity and a transfer of funds for the 2017-18 CDBG budget.
Move approval. Support.
It's been moved by Councilman Racy, supported by Councilman Porter. Any questions? Okay. If the city manager would make note, please. I have let the county know that I will not be attending any more meetings, and that Lori is my alternate, and right now she would be the one attending until the 20th, when they would appoint somebody new. All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries.
Item 7B is to approve a 45-day extension for the other post-employment benefits OPEB and pension corrective action plan.
Move to approve.
Support.
It's been moved by Mayor Pro Tem Miller, supported by Councilman Porter. My one question on this is, other than the fact that we don't have the final audit, is there any other reason that this is being held up?
No, we're just waiting for the OPEB valuation, which I did just get back, but I'll need a little time to type up the corrective action plan with the information.
Okay, all right. Any other questions for Katie? No? Okay, thank you very much, Katie. All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries.
Next item is item 7C. This is to approve Budget Amendment 2019-03.
Move approval.
And moved by Councilman Racy. Is there support?
Support.
And supported by Mayor Pro Tem Miller. Any questions for Katie? No? All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries.
Item 7D is to approve the purchase of an F-150 emergency service vehicle from Jack Demmer Ford, Wayne, Michigan, that has the lowest state bid for an amount not to exceed $34,375.75 to be paid from the Fire Department capital outlay budget and to be reimbursed by Ford Motor Company and DTE.
Move approval. Support.
Been moved by Councilman Racy, supported by Councilman Porter. Are there any discussions? All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries. Thank you.
Next item is item 7E. This is to approve change order number 1 with In Situ Forum Technologies in the amount of $21,976 for additional work during the slip lining project.
Move to approve.
Support.
It's been moved by Mayor Pro Tem Miller, supported by Councilman Racy. Are there any questions for Mr. Byton? No? Okay.
What portion,
oh.
I'm sorry,
Yeah.
what portion of the community is this going to be worked on? I know this has been a long-term project in our community. Slip lining all our infrastructure here.
Madam Mayor, members of the council, in our 2018 slip lining project, we're almost complete. We have two sections of pipe that aren't done yet because our records in the past showed them being a different diameter than what was specified in our contract. So in order to get those two pieces of pipe finished, and they're in the area east of Wayne Road, north of Annapolis, is one. The other one is over by Pershing Street in Michigan westbound. So those two pieces of pipe needed a size change that wasn't in our contract, so that's why we're coming before you this evening.
Okay. And this will be covered all from the water and sewer bonds.
Yes.
Any other questions? All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries.
Next item is item 8, administration reports.
Yes.
Ma'am, through the chair. I apologize, I was out the last meeting, I was actually not well, so, but I know that I do have some items I need to follow up on for the council and questions from the audience. The first was a question about S2 licenses at the Department of Public Works. Who is required to have an S2 license? We did some, obviously I have some backup documents, I did send this to the council, but assured you that I would follow up publicly because of the question coming from the audience. So the director and assistant director are not required to have an S2 license to serve in these positions as long as someone in the DPW has an S2. Currently, both foremen and one of the labor force has this license. Rick Lawrence, who is one of our foremen, as you know, does have the S2 and is the primary operator in charge, which is a requirement of the Michigan Department of Environmental Quality. So also those with an S4 license can be listed as an alternate, so that happens as well. Regarding employment procedures and hiring, there was a question about lists and classified lists, and classification, I'm sorry. According to 18.16 of the charter, employment procedure, the procedures, as I have seen them and that I've gone through with the temporary personnel director, part-time personnel director, the procedures have been followed with all postings, and there have been no qualified candidates other than the most recent employee in the last hiring. So those were the answers to those questions. As you recall, I did share that with the council. A couple of just items to update everyone on. Wayne Road, I know everybody's eager to see Wayne Road finished. I know we're all tired of hitting those big, whatchamacallits, coming out of the ground. I know that I am.
Covers.
That's
Manhole
what they are.
covers.
Thank you, Mayor Pro Tem. I could not think of the word. The thingy-majiggies, I almost
My
said.
suspension knows well.
Thank you for that. They did work on the joints today, and Mike Byton did receive a call from the county, and they assured us that obviously if the weather cooperates, the paving can be done this week. The project will be complete. But again, last week they had planned to do some of this work, but it was a kind of a rainy and difficult week to do some of this work. So they assured us that if the weather is cooperative, that project will be complete. So amen. Cadillac, Mike updated me today, Byton, if you don't mind, Mike. They are on track with the project, however, they do need to get a demolition permit from DEQ. So they did get a permit from Buildings and Engineering last week, which would allow them to move forward with getting their permit from DEQ. Mike said that takes approximately 10 days, minimum. And the project should start, the demolition, again, weather, cooperating with us, should start in the next couple of weeks. So probably in the last couple of weeks of November. So that project is just a little bit delayed because we had to follow some of the state requirements. And then I'm pleased to let you know that tonight a couple hours I had between the meeting, I've been working on a grant opportunity that will cover 5 of our buildings through the fiscally distressed grant for energy upgrades.
Good.
Yes.
Very good.
So it's about a $1.5 million grant I'm asking for. I'm going to ask for whatever we can get. And if that happens to not go through for all of the buildings, I will just ask for the police department, because as we all know, the police department is in desperate need of these energy upgrades, as we've seen in the budgets. So that grant is due the 21st. I think I will have it done by the end of the week, thanks to everybody's help. So that was what I was doing this evening. So hopefully we've been 4 for 4 on grants. Hopefully we'll be 5 for 5. And this one would be very, very important for the city. It'll generate, if it goes through, it will generate probably over 20 years, 1.8 million in savings. So it's going to be quite a significant amount of money. So I'm going to turn this over to the labor attorney through the chair. I'm sorry, labor attorney, sorry, city attorney. A lot of time for the labor attorney.
Yeah, thank you, Madam Mayor. Just one item. There was a question about a FOIA request response. Provided that in writing to the council last week. So I don't know if the citizen's been given the paper copy of my response or not. I brought a copy today to give to her through the clerk. So
Okay,
that's all I have. Thank you.
thank you. Any
Gentlemen.
other questions? Could they please wait till comments from the audience? Oh, it's pertaining the administration report? All right. Come forward. I'm sorry. Good evening.
A few council meetings ago, I asked about an overpayment to a city employee that was mentioned in the report from Dispute Resolutions PC. And I don't know if through the chair to the city manager, has that money been paid back yet? If not, when is it going to be paid back? It was an overpayment, something about the healthcare stipend.
We have been told that it has been paid back.
Okay, thank you. And another question for the city attorney. I was just curious, how long did he serve as an Oakland County commissioner?
Yes,
Oh, may I respond?
Yes.
4 years.
Okay, thank you. Thank you, Mayor.
thank you. Okay, anything else to report, Mr. Bosnick? Oh, yes. This is regarding the administration's report.
It is
Okay.
regarding, I think, a lack of one. My name is Sharon Bunnick on Sim Street. At the last meeting, our chairman from the DDA spoke.
Yes, David Steinhauer?
Yes, regarding the cost of the workplace evaluation and why DDA ended up having to pay that when we kind of thought that our risk management fund was covering that cost. And I believe you all decided that we were going to get an answer to that question, even though Mr. Stein, I don't see him here tonight. The rest of the residents would like an answer to that question.
I don't know if you were made aware of that question at the last meeting.
But I do recall, Mayor, it is out of the general fund.
It is out of the general fund?
Yes, that is
Okay.
correct.
It is being paid out of the general fund. And DDA pays into the general fund, so it wasn't specifically DDA money. Okay.
Thank you for the clarification.
Anything else? Yes. Regarding the administrator's report.
Sure is.
Okay.
Good evening,
Good evening.
Mr. Bosnick. The last time I met you, there was a request made, and through the chair, I asked for a copy of hostile work environment complaint investigation of August 8, continuing on. I was informed through you, Mr. Bosnick, the attorney, It's simple. Just filled out a FOIA,
That's correct.
okay? Fine. I had the opportunity to watch this meeting elsewhere, and I was very dismayed at what some lady in this audience had to compound with. But I too am a citizen, and I forwarded my FOIA request. Right there, sir. My question is, it says in here, may I read for you but you all have a copy at the desk. Okay, the city clerk, I made sure I delivered one to every one of you. If you refer to page 1,
Could
Yeah,
I
just
just
a
interrupt you for one moment? This discussion doesn't have anything to do with the city manager's administrative report.
it sure does. She's the one that's supposed to give back the answer to this question, and I never got it. You're dismayed by the question. I asked for the report, the FOIA, and you said it's simple, just fill out the form. I filled out the form and didn't get anything. It says refer to page 6. There is no page 6.
Okay,
Okay? There's no page 6.
okay.
And I'm sorry if you don't understand.
No, I understand, but he can't really help you right now tonight, so if.
Well, he
if
sure
you'd
didn't
like-
help me 3 weeks ago either.
I understand that, Mr.
Okay? He didn't help me 3 weeks ago, and we just keep on rolling on and on and on. This is deplorable. Okay?
Well, if you could please meet with Mr. Bosnick out in
I'm not
the,
meeting anybody.
in the hallway.
I meet in these chambers here,
Okay.
and I want to say one thing, what it says in this, that I won't give it to you. I won't give it to you because the disclosure under this act might hurt some the specific personal information about this individual would constitute and clearly unwarranted invasion of that individual's privacy. We're not asking for an individual's privacy. We're asking for a citizens who asked for freedom of information, and for that report, you gavelled it on a 4-2 vote, and you have yet to release that information. And it's deplorable. And if you
Your-
don't understand it, sir.
Your 3
I'll give
minutes
it
is
to you
up.
right
Please
now.
end your comments.
Pardon?
Your 3 minutes is up.
Oh, we
Thank you.
timed that too? Good.
Yes.
Thank you.
What are you smiling for?
Please. Thank you, Mr. Osborne.
Quick question as well. Last meeting.
Is this
I-
regarding
Yes, it is.
administration's
I asked
reports?
a question through the chair for the city attorney's guidance. And it wasn't given in this report like it was promised in the agenda. So what I would like to ask, because we set a new precedent at the last meeting by asking for a motion to accept questions, would a council person please motion to accept my question of where in the charter it gives the mayor human resource duties that I asked last week? So could someone please help us and so we can find out what the answer to this question is? Thank you.
Move the agenda.
And the next item are citizens' comments or requests on items not on the agenda. Citizens are to limit their
Gentlemen,
comments.
I'm sorry.
Or
Yes,
Gentleman raised his hand there.
yes.
I'm sorry.
Citizens are to limit their comments or requests to 3 minutes. The city council asks that if you do have a question or concern, to bring it to the attention of the appropriate departments whenever possible. If you feel that the matter has not been resolved satisfactorily, you are encouraged to bring it to the attention of the city manager. And if still not resolved satisfactorily, to the mayor and the city council. The mayor, the city council, and the department heads may not respond to the questions at the meeting, but will respond by the next city council meeting or as soon as possible once they have looked into the matter.
Thank you. Yes,
Mayor, members of council, my name is Brian Ivansha from Hubbard Street. As we all know, there's an election tomorrow, and I just want to say, no matter who is elected, I hope we can all move forward for the betterment of Wayne as a whole. There's been a lot of drama, backstabbing, mudslinging lately, and the residents deserve better than that. If elected or not, I stand by my promise to help this community the best of my ability. We should be working towards the same goal, and that is a Wayne we can all be proud of. Get out there and vote tomorrow, and let your voice be heard.
Thank you. Yes,
I just have some concerns.
yes.
With Flo Kelly. Last year, you guys said a new city company came over to change all the meters from the city over to another company. That company damages my pipe in my basement. My basement was flooded for days. And the city did not want to take responsibility for the damages to my basement, nor did the contractor that you guys hired to switch the meter in my.
This was the water meter.
Yes, ma'am.
Okay.
And however, I tried to talk to Ed in the water or city department. That wasn't resolved properly. They charged me to turn off my water so the basement wouldn't be flooded. I contact my attorney to send a letter to the city of Wayne. No one never responded. I have all of my receipts for all the damages that I had to pay to, fix my basement, open the concrete, and to refix the pipe that they broke internally into my basement. And that never was resolved. And my next question is, you say I have 3 minutes? My next question is, how are we gonna bring diversity to the city of Wayne? There's a lack of diversity. Even in the hiring process, there's a lack of diversity. And what are we gonna do to bring vendors or other business, into the city of Wayne as far as diversity? Ferndale has, businesses where they captivate people, to bring, business into the city because they have a tax incentive, maybe there's a property available. So is the city of Detroit. I want to know what Wayne has put aside to make us, captivate other business vendors or business owners to bring business into the city of Wayne. That's my concern. I'm a taxpaying citizen. I'm just concerned because I feel like we're not moving forward.
Okay.
There's a lot of bickering going around the city, who's doing what, who's not doing what. There's a lot of nepotism as well. What are we doing to elevate the city? Because I do want to remain in the city of Wayne as a homeowner.
Okay, thank you very much.
you.
If you could please speak to the city manager after the council meeting, and she'll take down all your information and then work with you and the water department and the city attorney. Okay? Thank you. And your other questions, I'm sure have been made note of by those running for council, and hopefully with the new council that comes in, they can move forward with some of your concerns. Yes, Mr. Blackwell.
Well, Madam Mayor, I want to commemorate your time as mayor, and I couldn't have asked for a better sparring partner. We've had some very spirited discussions, and I have to give you credit. Kind of remind me of my dearly sainted mom. You can hold your own.
Thank you.
You definitely can hold your own, and I hope you take this as, from my heart. I was trying to think of something appropriate because how do I say this? I've literally put you through hell, and like I said, I admire you. Hold your own. So at this time, I would like to present to you, since I literally put you through hell, you might as well own a piece of hell, Michigan, 1 square inch. It's a warranty deed. It's been signed by the mayor of hell, Odom Plenty.
Okay.
It's 1 square inch. You can go down as far as you want, or up high, but you can't exceed. And if you and Mr. Rowe should ever decide to visit your piece of hell on earth, I did manage to acquire an exit visa for you and your husband that entitles the bearer safe passage through hell, Michigan.
Well, thank you very much. I appreciate it. Thank you.
Mayor is,
Hopefully it won't be a piece of property I'm going to have to pay taxes
I
on.
was thinking the same thing. I was thinking the same thing.
and as Mr. Ivanchu said, there is a election tomorrow, and then hopefully everybody that heads to the polls do know who they're voting for. There's a list of candidates. I just want to remind people also that we do have a write-in candidate, Jacob Johnson, if people decide to do that. But the main thing is, like Mr. Vanchu said, please get out and vote. Get out and vote. Exercise that right. And again, Madam Mayor, thank you from the bottom of my heart. Like I said, you've been a very formidable sparring partner, and I wish you and Mr. Rowe the very best, with Mr. Rowe serving on the council previously, some years back. I know he's still a young man. But I thank you again, Mayor, and God bless, and
Thank you.
again, thank you for your service to this community.
Thank you. Appreciate it. Yes. Anyone else?
Madam Mayor.
Yes, Mr. Amos?
Madam Mayor, City Council, my name's Vern Amos, and I live on Stellwagen here in Wayne. I'd just like to remind the public that we're still one person short for the crossing guard service. We need one full-timer, and we need some people to fill out some applications so they can do background check and proceed with hopefully hiring somebody. And then I'd like to reiterate what Mark said. Everybody needs to get out and vote tomorrow, no matter what your candidate choice is. You know, do what's right. So thank you.
Thank you. Yes,
Madam Mayor.
thank you.
Good evening, Madam Mayor, City Council, and
evening.
residents. I've learned a few things over the past couple of weeks, and I feel it is important and also my duty to tell the citizens of this community. It is in regards to the investigative report that was given to the former city attorney and each council member on or about August 8, 2018. From August 8th until approximately August 21st, it seems that the former city attorney was actively and aggressively trying to get a city council member to vote to terminate the city manager's contract. I will repeat this. Our former city attorney was actively and aggressively trying to get a city council member to vote to terminate the city manager's contract. Think about this, ask yourself some questions. If the attorney wasn't going to remain neutral, who was she working for? Not the council, or just some of the council members. She certainly wasn't working for the citizens of this community. What was she going to do by gaining, or what was she going to gain by getting a council member to vote the way she wanted them to vote? Is this ethical? Where was her integrity? The very two reasons why the investigation started: sexual discrimination complaint and hostile work environment complaint. But it says in the findings that the investigation did not result in a conclusion for the complaining employee was discriminated against because of sex, and there was no evidence to suggest this unnamed city employees were subject to a hostile work environment. With these findings, the former attorney still chose to ignore these findings and try to solicit a vote from a council member to terminate the city manager's contract. Why? The former city attorney needs to answer these questions. But surprisingly, she resigned after the August 21st council meeting. Did she resign because she couldn't get 4 votes? Was that her goal from the beginning of the start of the investigation? The former attorney chose to ignore the law and used the original complaints to get the council to vote for an investigation that had no merit from the start. By keeping her agenda hidden from the council, she then opened the scope of the investigation to include anything and everything that happened at City Hall over the past couple of years, which adds to the confusion. Things written in the report had nothing to do with sexual discrimination nor hostile work environment. With that confusion, the former attorney was hoping to get 4 votes to terminate the city manager's contract. When she couldn't get 4 votes, she resigned. I'm almost done. I believe the former attorney should be.
I'm sorry, Mr. Borgi, your time is up.
I just got a couple.
I'm sorry, Mr. Borgi, your time is up.
All right. I'll get plenty of time at the next meeting.
Yes, I'm sure you will. Yes, Mr. Bennett. Mrs. Bunnick, I'm sorry, Mrs. Bunnick, I'm looking at Ira. That's Mr. Bunnick, yes.
Sharon Bunny, Sim Street, this is just for you.
Oh, okay,
You were my mayor.
thank you,
You were my councilwoman. I was always proud of you, and I still am.
thank you.
We had some difficult times. You got us through it. You all got us through it.
Mhm.
See, we started this together and we worked and we kept ourselves out of bankruptcy. You should all be proud of that. I know we still have more work to do. But I thank you as my friend and the first mayor, first woman mayor of Wayne. I'm very proud of that.
Thank
should
you.
be too.
Thank
I
you.
wish you and Ed all the best. I want to remind, others have spoke about our current political climate. I want to remind the younger generation what it used to be like after Election Day. Some of you are going to remember this. When the results came in for the city of Wayne, we all met down to the community center. All the candidates came, the winners, the losers, all the residents.
Mhm.
And we had a nice little party to start anew. We need to remember that this is what Wayne is all about. Other communities where I had friends could never believe that that ever happened. I said, oh yeah, that's what we do when it's all over. When it's all over and we move on. That's who Wayne is. We all need to remember that. I just wanted to remind the younger generation that that's the way we used to do business in the city of Wayne. Congratulations to you. Enjoy your retirement.
I will.
Thank you, Susan.
Thank you. Thank you. Anyone else?
Lynn Borgia, Flora Lane. I'm just going to continue on since my husband wasn't allowed to finish with his 3 minutes since he spent too much time. In closing, we believe that the former city attorney should be held accountable for the $45,000 that the taxpayers paid for this report. We also believe that she should be held, her law firm should be held accountable for the fees of $1,000 charged to the city done for the work on this investigation. This is something that shouldn't be just brushed under the rug. This is serious allegations. A lot of money was taken and used that could have been used in other areas. And time is for things to happen now. Things will be happening starting tomorrow, and that'll be happening by the bringing in a new council. I encourage people to vote for Brian Ivanchu, Kelly Skiff, and Phil Wagner. And I've said it before, Mayor, I've been up here before, and I stated that I was embarrassed as a woman and a neighbor and whatever. I'm sorry that the first woman mayor in the city of Wayne did not hold up and act as a responsible person in the city of Wayne. I would have been more proud to have had somebody who would have been more ethical and would have taken the initiative to really stand her own ground and not be a puppet to other people. Thank you.
Thank you. Have a good evening. Shouldn't you be going to Belleville?
No. I would like to talk about how state law grants cities the ability to create charters. Then the charter grants a council the ability to create its own policy and procedure.
Mhm.
In lieu of specific law at any one of these levels, the law above it grants that ability, and it holds the weight of law. Your policies and procedures are not optional. When you guys chose to break to a closed meeting to discuss the assessment findings, the charter said you needed 5 votes to do it. You did it with 4. So you have broke the charter there. That is breaking law. Then when it was brought to your attention, you said you didn't care. So I have to ask, if you didn't start this investigation legally within your own policy and procedures, you didn't discuss the findings of it legally within your policies and procedures, why are we even talking about it? People want to know. People ask me, they see me in the streets and they say, Jeff, what's going on with this stuff? It says, we need to ask them, but they won't tell us. So another thing is, the city of Holly went through the same investigation with a reputable investigation firm. It's on their website. It cost $6,000. Ours cost $45,000. To me, with the Borges report, it seemed like to me it was a redistribution of taxpayer funds to a friend of the city attorney and to herself and her firm, and they all rode off into the sunset. Thank you.
Anyone else? Yes, Mr. Clearman?
On October 18, 2016, the council had a vote for motion 1016-0313. That's for the Cadillac Apartments. It's nice to see a little over 2 years later that's finally coming to an end. The motion right before that was 1016-0312. That was a 5-2 vote to have even year number elections. I challenge the next council, and this can be an item for the next agenda, if a couple of people vote on it, to rescind that vote. I'd like to see odd number years again. At this point, a few people had 3 or 5 year terms because of that. The people who are left at this point, who are gonna have the 5-year terms, are people who both voted against it, so it would make sense to me to rescind that. So if anybody might consider motioning that for the next meeting, that'd be awesome. Everybody get out and vote tomorrow. Thank you.
Thank you. Anyone else?
Yeah, one more thing for you.
Oh, yes.
I won't let you leave without another question.
I'm going to miss this. We'll have to meet up in Mackinac City, okay?
Broke my chain of thought just like you did.
That was touching, wasn't it?
Well, we need to know, okay, this question. There's too many here. The question would be, how do we get something on the agenda? Once again, away from the place, but able to view it through super satellite. I saw our Mayor Pro Tem attempt to place something on the agenda. It's deplorable that we cannot work together and just have something on the agenda and you can discuss it and have your own opinions and we will see what your outcome is. I was once asked, or I asked the question, how do you get something on the agenda? Was said you, the city manager, places the agenda. Then it's the mayor. Well, we all now live in wards. If we convince you enough that it's in my interest, in my ward, that I would like something on the agenda, whether you like it or not, if it's in the best interest of the city, place it up on the table. Mr. Miller, I am very sorry that they did not second your motion. It's deplorable to see a democracy run like that. Zero. And I highly respect you for your term of office there.
Thank you.
You have not explained why you talk about 302, 906 and all that, but you haven't explained why we have a vacant seat every time when you give roll call. We have a roll call, but you haven't told us when we are going to fill it or how it is filled. So those instructions need to be given. And in closing, remember 11/11, remember your veterans. Okay?
Thank you. Anyone else? Yes.
Hello, Kelly Skiff, Gloria Street, Ward 5. I just wanted to remind everybody that even though there's only wards 4, 5, and 6 on the ballot tomorrow, if you are a registered voter in the city of Wayne and you also live in Wayne, then you can vote for one candidate in each ward, and you do not have to live in that ward. I just wanted to remind you that. My name's Kelly Skiff. I'm running for City Council for Ward 5, and I'd love to have your vote. Thank you.
Call the agenda.
All right. The next item is item 9, items for the next agenda.
What's the wish of council?
There are none.
Any items? Okay.
The next
Next item.
item is item 10, consent calendar. There are 2 items before you.
Move without exception. Support.
It's been moved by Councilman Racy and supported by Councilman Porter. Are there any additions, questions? All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries. Okay. Next item.
The next item is our comments from members of the city council.
We'll start with Mr. Dowd. I'm sorry, Councilman Dowd.
Yes. This officially, I think, is my last meeting, and actually my last time to speak in this arena. So I wanted to thank everybody for supporting me, certainly from the point of being appointed, and my fellow council persons and management from the city, and most especially the citizens themselves. This appointment, unique, and to say it was the most difficult job I've had, I honestly have to say it hasn't been. But it's been an enlightenment, and I'm very proud to sit in this position, as temporary as it may be, to support the city, support the business of being in a city, and to help the group as a whole. Obviously, in a very short time, I haven't been able to impress many changes, but I feel that I am a more educated person and a citizen for this very unique position. Beyond that, I just wanted to thank everybody.
Okay, thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Dowd. Councilman Racy?
Thank you, Mayor. First off, they talked about it earlier, but Thursday starts the Christmas season at the Congregational Church, and if you haven't been, it's definitely worth going to for lunch or dinner. Great food, candy, out of this world, and I just feel like it's the kickoff to Christmas. And if you've never been there, I really encourage you to be there because it's a great experience. I also had a chance to go to the State of the Schools in the last couple of weeks, and very interesting. I definitely, if you have a chance to go out on their website and to look at the video, they tape that, but it's definitely worth really seeing what's going on with their schools. There's a lot of parallels that are happening in our city and our schools at the same time, and it's definitely worth looking into. And I also want to thank Ford and DTE for their contributions to the city with the fire truck or the fire vehicle that they're helping to purchase. It's great to have community partners that help out where they can. And then I also want to thank the mayor for her service to our community. It's been I've been 2 councils with you now, and it's been there's been good times, bad times, but I think it's been an experience for both of us, and I hope you and Ed have enjoy each other's company, and
We better.
spend some time, being able to get up to your cottage and do, just be able to enjoy life again. And this is a really challenging position to be up here, and I don't think citizens realize how challenging this is at times, and it's for all of us. It can be very disheartening when people continue to badger and go after you. It's not an easy job, and And thank you, Susan, for stepping up and doing that for our community.
Thank you.
And then also wanted to thank Kevin Dowd for stepping in the short time that it was. I did get a chance to get to know you a little bit through this process, and thank you for your service to our community, too.
And Councilman Porter?
Thank you, Mayor. First, I'll start off with Jeremiah called me since he couldn't make it. He had a couple announcements he'd like to make. We have scouting for food this Saturday. Should have been bags hung on your doors last Saturday, and they will be picked up this Saturday, November 10th. This food will be distributed to gleaners, but he also told me this year that it is going to St. Mary's, so it is local. So let's all pitch in and put something in the bag for St. Mary's. Also, he wanted to thank the people for helping the Parks and Trails Committee. They accomplished another big job last Saturday. And their last date is Sunday, November 11th, which would be next Sunday. And the committee can use any and all help. They only had 3 or 4 people there. We need some more people to volunteer and step up and help out, if at all possible, please. I too would like to wish to thank Mayor Rowe for the years of service to our city. This is not an easy job sitting up here, trust me, whether you're sitting as a councilman, a mayor, or what. For her to have persevered, I use that term very loosely, as long as she has is just flat admirable. I don't know how she did it. I could never spend that many years. Yeah, there were good times, but there were a lot of bad times, and we've all argued and fussed with each other, but I want her to know that I was proud of serving up with the first lady mayor.
Thank you.
In the city of Wayne. I want to mention that last week, Mike Biden, Mayor Rowe, City Manager Noserini, and I met with CSX Railroad about the viaduct over Michigan Avenue and the deplorable condition it's in. They were actually out this morning patching concrete. So they are putting some patches on the concrete. Unfortunately, they refused to paint any of the steel work. It's all blistering off and scaling off, but they said they quit painting in 1980s and they are not going to do it. So I just wanted to let you know that we did get a little action this week or last week by doing that. I also want to thank Kevin Dowd for his service. I urged him to do this, so I hope he don't beat me up too bad after this. Thank you, that's all.
Okay, thank you. And Mayor Pro Tem Miller.
Thank you, Mayor Rowe. I just want to first thank the community. It's been a distinct blessing to facilitate the role of Mayor Pro Tem in this community. And when that decision was made, it was probably one of the first decisions was made in front of the seal and instead of behind the seal in a long time. But my point is here, it really gave me the opportunity to advocate about this community throughout the whole region. If it wasn't at a tree planting event with the children, telling them about how much pride that we have in this community, or if it wasn't going to an RTA meeting on the other side of town where people don't even know where Wayne is, and talk to them about how good of a community this is and how great it can be. I can't say enough how much it meant to me to be able to advocate this community I so love as well. And every time, every step I made, every action I took, and every word I spoke very highly of this community for one single reason, because of all of you. It has nothing to do with this building. It has nothing to do with this administration or council. This community is about a community, and that is all of you. And I stood and stand for every single one of you. And I genuinely mean that. I couldn't have been more proud and honored to serve with Mayor Rowe, particularly in the fact that we are coming through a change in our history of we are becoming more inclusive. Our First Lady Mayor, for example. And we are moving in that direction I take pride in seeing that happen in my community because I think it's so important. I live it, I breathe it. I also want to say to everyone that we have had snapshots of negativity that has tried to draw the oxygen about our community, about the good stuff. That's never going to happen, folks. It's never going to happen. We're going to go back together. This is an extremely strong, resilient community of people, and we're moving forward. A lot of good things have happened in the last 2 years. It's so easy to look at all the negative things, but the reality is the stack of the good and great things that have occurred are 3 times as high. And our downtown is brighter than it was 4 years ago. We have more emphasis and more education about our pride, about our history because of the Wayne Museum. Our library is standing tall again with support. We have so many new businesses in our downtown, a vote of confidence that this community is pulling through. So I ask everyone to get out to vote again tomorrow, because you know what? We all need to participate in this progress, regardless of our differences. Thank you. God bless.
Thank you. Okay, I'm just going to read something here. Underscoring the requirements of state and federal laws, the City of Wayne has a written discrimination policy that specifically provides the city has the responsibility of investigating and resolving complaints of discrimination and harassment, and determining whether the alleged conduct constitutes discrimination or harassment, the totality of the circumstances, the nature of the discrimination or harassment, and the context in which the alleged incident occurred will be investigated. The results of the investigation and any action taken thereon will be communicated to the complaining employee or applicant. Thus, once the city received written complaints alleging a hostile environment and favoritism, the city had an affirmative obligation to undertake as soon as practicable an investigation required by the city's written policy and state and federal laws. As the claims of a hostile environment and favoritism involved, even in part, the conduct and actions of the city manager, any investigation performed by a subordinate of the city manager, or anyone whose position could be influenced by the city manager would have been suspect under well-settled principles laid out in the applicable court decisions involving investigations in this nature. It was most appropriate and required for the city council to retain the services of an independent, a competent, external resource to undertake this investigation at the earliest practicable date. This should not be viewed as a controversial decision or in any way improper, as the city's policy and the state and federal laws required no less. That is what is on the very first page of the report that supposedly everybody in this city has seen. It doesn't mention anything about a sexual harassment. It was a hostile work environment investigation. It was done, it was paid for, and however the remaining council coming forward wishes to handle anything further, that's totally up to them. But it was done, and it had to be done. I'm not an attorney. I had 3 attorneys telling me it had to have been done. With that, I would just like to say, when I moved here in 1990 to marry my husband, Ed, I thought this was going to be one of the greatest little communities in the world for me to move into. It would be my new home. With that, I went to the city council and asked for me to get on a committee. They appointed me to the Zoning Board of Appeals since I had almost 8 years of experience from my prior city. I then just started watching. My husband had been on the council for 2 terms. I decided I'll run for city council. So in 2003, I won. And at that time, one of my first meetings that took place was the dissemination and the disillusionment of some of the programs that were in Wayne up until that time, because already then we saw the writing on the wall. And every single year after that, we continually had to keep cutting. Sometimes some mistakes were made, choices were made. I disagreed with those choices, but I always asked questions. And I would ask that whoever gets in this seat up here, ask the questions that need to be asked. There are no stupid questions. Don't be afraid to ask those questions. Search out answers from other people than just those sitting next to you. This is a very difficult job. It's a very important job. And don't anyone take it lightly. I have enjoyed immensely being a city councilwoman and then elected as the first woman mayor of the city of Wayne. I am proud of that. It was such an honor and such a privilege. The people that I have met throughout the state of Michigan in all those years, they have just added to my time, my education, and that is what's so critical, the networking, the education, because there is no training that you can take anywhere to sit in this seat. You can get it through the Michigan Municipal League. And unfortunately, the council in the past, this year, voted to drop their membership. I hope they will look in the future to join, because it is important that you know what you don't know. And that is one line that I will repeat. You don't know what you don't know. And you're never going to find out unless you're out there talking to people. And it's been an honor and a privilege to serve as the first female mayor. And with that, a motion to adjourn.
Move to adjourn, Mayor Rowe.
Support.